Welcome to Marvel Rivals Season 2.5 live as of right now, May 30th, 2025. This patch has the release of the new strategist, Ultron, and a ton of balance changes, including a team-up ability shakeup, so let's not waste any time and jump into it. Captain America is getting a slight hit to his survivability. His health is going down from 700 to 675. When your shield, called Living Legend, takes damage and you put it down, there is a recovery delay which has been nerfed from 2 seconds to 4 seconds before regenerating. And they're also increasing the energy cost of Freedom Charge, his ultimate, from 2800 to 3100, so a nerf to how quick he can build it. Doctor Strange has been a little weak this season, so they're buffing the damage falloff of Daggers of Danak. His primary fire is going to be increased from 62.5% of its base damage to 80% of its base damage at 20 meters. The 16 base damage of the daggers times 5 used to be reduced by 62.5%, which means 10 times 5, which is 50 damage, and now it's going to be 80% of 16, which is going to be 64 total damage. They're also going to be reducing the range damage falloff for Maelstrom of Madness. Emma Frost is getting a shift in her power. The range of her telepathic pulse is getting buffed from 15.5 meters to 18 meters. However, the shield value of Mind's Aegis is being nerfed from 500 to 400. The cooldown of Carbon Crush is being nerfed from 5 seconds to 6 seconds, and they're decreasing the hit damage of the Crystal Kick from 50 to 40. And the wall impact damage is being decreased from 100 to 90. Another round of GROOT nerfs are here. They're decreasing the amount of damage from Vine Strike from 70 to 65. And the cooldown of Ironwood Wall is going up from 8 seconds to 12 seconds. Strangely enough, Magneto was actually getting a buff where they're increasing the charging speed of the rings from 4 seconds a stack to 3 seconds a stack. Thor is getting a minor rework. His hammer throw is now moved to a standard ability, so there's no Thor force cost and that universal cooldown, but instead has a fixed 6-second cooldown, and now Thor will gain 1 Thor force for each enemy hit. They're also going to be decreasing the throw hit damage from 70 to 45 and the return damage from 30 to 20. Now for Thor's survivability, they're decreasing the shield gained when consuming Thor Force, and they're adjusting that bonus health gain for each Thor Force consumed from 100 to 75, and adjusting his maximum bonus health from 200 to 150. For the duelists, Hawkeye getting some changes here. The base damage of his arrow is going from 32 to 34. The projectile damage of blast arrows increased from 15 to 16, and the spell field damage, or the AoE damage, is increasing from 32 to 34. They're also increasing the maximum focus from 70 to 75. And finally, the rate in which you gain charge will be increased from 100 a second to 108 per second, but the decay will be increased from 30 per second to 32 per second. For HELA, a small buff where her ammo of her Night Sword Thorn is going to be increased from 8 to 10. Why are we buffing HELA? For Human Torch, some nerfs here. They're reducing the damage of the fire cluster per pellet from 7 to 6 per hit, and they're increasing the charge speed of Blazing Blast from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. Finally, they will be decreasing the shield gained from that Flaming Meteor Dive Bomb from 75 HP to 50 HP, and they're increasing that cooldown from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. Small nerf to Iron Fist, they're lowering the Dragon's Defense damage blocked bonus health conversion rate from 1.5 to 1.3. They're also decreasing the maximum bonus health converted from the damage blocked from 200 to 175. For the Dragon's Defense follow-up punches, which is called Yatji Chung Kun, they've slightly decreased the dash distance in the Z-axis direction when there's no target. And finally, they're reducing the Dragon's Defense cooldown from 1.5 to 1 second on every Jeet Kune Do hit. Iron Man is getting a decrease in his projectile damage of the third repulsor blast from 50 to 45, and the AoE splash damage from 60 to 55, so a direct hit will be minus 10. They're also going to be reducing the armor overdrive maximum bonus health from 100 to 50. For NAMOR, some nerfs where the cooldown of the Blessing of the Deep is going to be increased from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. They will be buffing the Horn of Proteus ultimate inner circle radius from 3 meters to 3.5 meters and the outer circle radius from 8 meters to 9 meters. However, the outer circle radius damage will be decreased from 200 to 180. This is notably important when you multiply it with like Luna Snow's damage boost. It can no longer one-shot squishies when comboed with that. They're also going to be buffing the Monstro Spawn damage falloff. The falloff starts between 20 meters to 40 meters at its maximum, and at that max range, it would previously reduce the max damage to 30%, but now it's going to be reduced to 50%, so it's a buff and now has 50% effectiveness. For PSYLOKKE, they're decreasing the return damage of Wings Shurikens from 14 to 12 per hit, and they're decreasing the invisibility duration of Psychic Stealth from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. Squirrel Girl getting some buffs here. They're increasing her ammo from 10 to 12, and they're decreasing the cooldown of Mammal Bond from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. Star-Lord's ultimate charge will be nerfed. The cost will go up from 3100 to 3400. However, they are extending the maximum target range from 30 meters to 40 meters, and the damage will be a little bit better at long range because the damage fall off will only reduce by 75% instead of 60% at its maximum 40 meter range. Storm's ultimate, Omega Hurricane, the damage per second will be increased from 150 to 160 per second. The Punisher is getting a couple of buffs to his main weapon, the Education. The mag size is going to go up from 30 to 40. Each bullet damage will be increased from 18 to 19, and the spread will be slightly reduced. And finally, for his ultimate, Final Judgment, the movement slow rate when he's not firing will be reduced from 20% to 10%, and from 40% to 30% when he is firing. Jeff is getting a rework. So there's a new effect to Joyful Splash, that little healing water stream. It now simultaneously deals damage to enemies at 70 per second and can heal allies through other allies instead. So it's a multi-targeted ability. Hits enemies, hits teammates alike. For the damage portion, there is fall off for it, which starts at 20 meters and stops at 40 meters, and at that maximum distance, the damage will be reduced by 65%. And for the healing portion, the healing stream per second will be reduced from 150 to 130. For his Aqua Burst, the main source of damage, it has now become a charge ability, and you can hold 3 charges with a 3-second cooldown per charge. However, it does have a new effect where direct hits will now launch enemies up. Additionally, the splash damage will be increased from 40 to 45 as well. For the healing bubble, it's changing from a flat 85 heal to 120 healing over 4 seconds. They're also reducing the maximum amount of charges of the bubble from 6 to 3 and removing that little knockback launch up effect. For his hide and seek ability, it now has an energy cap of a maximum of 120, which drains by 20 per second while submerged, so you can only stay submerged for 6 seconds now, and it does restore 15 charge per second when not. This is effectively a nerf because it puts it on a timer now. You can no longer swim around infinitely. And finally, for his ultimate, it's Jeff. The overflow healing on swallowed allies now gives them 45 health per second as bonus health, up to a maximum of 150. Jeff will also have higher damage reduction when taking a critical hit from 50% to 70%. However, the cost of using the ultimate will be increased from 4,000 to 4,500. For Luna Snow, her light and dark ice healing amount and damage will be changed from 20 per round to 22 per round. And they also added a new effect to Absolute Zero, which grants her 50 bonus health per enemy hit. However, they are nerfing the cost of her ultimate overall, which is going up from 4,500 to 5,000 energy. All right, for Rocket Raccoon, they are reducing the healing of his orbs repair mode from 55 to 50 on a direct hit. And now let's move on to all of the team ups, beginning with the ones that were removed first. The first one is a removal of a hero only, not the entire team up. So Gamma Charge still exists, but it no longer has Iron Man anymore. The next one being removed is Ammo Overload with Rocket Raccoon and Punisher. Allied Agents is gone as well with Hawkeye and Black Widow. Chilling Charisma is gone as well with Luna and Jeff. Jeff no longer gets that ice shot. And the last one removed is the Symbiote Bond with Venom, Spider-Man, and Penny Parker. Next, we'll go over the old team-ups that were balance adjusted. So Atlas Bond, the Iron Fist and Luna Snow one, they decreased the team-up anchor damage boost for Iron Fist from 15% to 10%. The Fantastic Four team-up with Invisible Woman being the anchor, all 3 of Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, and The Thing, their team-up tanky button, the cooldown is going to be increased from 20 seconds to 25 seconds each. For the Gamma Charge team up with Hulk and Namor, they have increased the Gamma Monstro cooldown from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. And finally, for the Mental Projection team up with Emma Frost, Psylocke, and Magneto, Psylocke and Magneto all have had their damage reduced with their respective team up abilities from 30% to 20% from the illusion. All right, for the new team-ups, we first have Chilling Assault, which is Luna as the anchor with the 15% healing bonus, and Hawkeye gets an ice arrow, which pierces through walls and deals 75 damage. Also, if the target is beyond 30 meters away, the ice arrow now stuns them and it does even more damage. But here's the thing, it passes through all terrain and it hits all targets in its path. So this bot takes damage and the bot at the end gets stunned because it's beyond the 30 meters. The next new team up is the MAGNETO with Jeff and Storm. Whenever Storm ults, Jeff can use his ultimate and attach to the Storm ultimate. He's no longer in control, but anybody within range takes damage and gets swallowed right away. Another way to activate this team up is to have Jeff swallow first and then Storm ult on top of him. The next new team up is Operation Microchip with the Punisher and Black Widow. A big thing to point out is that Punisher, as the team up anchor, actually gains stats. He gets 25 HP and a 5% DPS boost. In any case, Black Widow is the one that gets the team up button herself. She gets a pulse rifle that pierces through all targets and it shoots faster, but it no longer headshots. Rocket Network is the next team up with Rocket Raccoon and Penny Parker. As the anchor, Rocket gains a 5% healing increase, which is pretty much the same as when he had the ammo overload from before, which got removed. His BRB is now upgraded to a web beacon. So it still provides the armor packs and res properties as before, but it also acts as an extra web for Penny Parker to use and extend her webs and mines. Now for Penny herself, she gains a new armored spider nest, which is amazing for her because it gives her more area to cover with her webs. So she can hide more mines, she can have her spider drones and all these fun things travel across, and it gives her more area to stand on to constantly regen her HP. Stark Protocol is a new team up with the brand new hero. It's Iron Man as the anchor and Ultron who gets the new ability, which replaces his primary fire with these nano rays. This is like Moira's Coalescence in Overwatch. It now makes it so it heals and deals damage on anybody it pierces. And the final new team up they added is Symbiote Shenanigans with Venom and Jeff. As the anchor, Venom gains an extra 150 HP, and for Jeff, to put simply, it just attaches and tethers onto a nearby ally, constantly healing them, and when it heals enough, it pops and gives them a burst of healing. And that's it for my patch notes coverage. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, if you like the stuff, and come to my Twitch at twitch.tv/KarQ. From May 30th to June 27th, you can get this Emma Frost skin by watching my stream.